Whether you call it a Fibonacci fractal or a Mandelbrot set, or say phyllotaxis, these are all fancy terms for how the creation pattern works. The creation pattern is this invisible scaffolding in what science calls space, or the void. The void is not empty at all. It has the creation pattern. Some call it flower of life. There's many names. Tetragrammaton is something that's very interesting and worth looking into. Another name for the Tetragrammaton would be Yahweh. But I don't want to veer off course here. The simplest way to describe the creation pattern is just a tree. It's a tree. The example of how the creation pattern works is everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's mathematical. It's a computer program. It works on the Fibonacci sequence. But this tree splits in accordance to the Fibonacci sequence. If you don't know what the Fibonacci sequence is, it's the mathematics of the creation pattern. 1 and 1 make 2, 2 and 1 make 3, 2 and 3 make 5, 5 and 3 make 8. You go on forever. You add the new number to the last number. And that's the creation pattern. If you look at a sunflower, the way the inside of a sunflower look adheres to this golden spiral and this number set. And the tree, as well as the flower, as well as the pine cone, as well as metaphysical things, the way that ideas are structured and unfold. So it's not just physical things in the matrix, in this hologram, this simulation, but everything unfolds in accordance to this scaffolding. So the tree, let's say the trunk is God, then it'll split off, and then it'll get branches, and those branches will have smaller branches, and those smaller branches will have yet even smaller branches, and then finally you'll have a leaf. This is all Christ was really saying. You are a leaf. I am a leaf. Everybody's a leaf. But we're all part of the same tree, the tree of life, right? And the interesting thing is that this unfolds in different ways, on different levels, because once you understand the creation pattern, you need to understand the radio stations, the chakra system. And the chakra system is, there's a lot of radio stations, but let's just keep it simple. The ones that are in the visual light spectrum, because we see something like 5%. I might be messing, it might be less than that. I'm going to say 5%, just for the sake of this example, of the light spectrum. You've got ultraviolets on one end and infrareds on the other end, and that go on and on and on and on. And what we see and what we hear and what we consider to be solid are just a piece of this light spectrum. That's why the cults are obsessed with the black sun, because there's light that is, you can't see it because it's just a frequency. Light manifests in different ways, divine light. It's not like the light from the sun. In different frequencies, and this is all creation pattern stuff. And what happens when you get in the lower chakras, you see, you have your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, 5, your third eye chakra, and then your crown chakra. These are the 7 radio stations through which you can experience consciousness. So you and I could be tuned into a radio station, different radio stations, like we're wearing earbuds. We can occupy the same space, like we work in a warehouse, and we can work together and interact together, but we're listening, we're experiencing different radio stations. It looks the same, but we're having a different experience. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. So I could be living in my heart chakra, which is whole, holy, and someone else could be living in their lower 3 chakras, which most people don't even make it past the root chakra. The root chakra is on the base of your taint. And the root and the sacral are basically just animal stuff, obsessed with sex, mainly, procreation, pleasures of the flesh. You get into your solar plexus, which is right here in your xiphoid, and you start getting into things like feeling incomplete, feeling the need. The heart chakra pulls at it. So you start feeling the need to be complete. You start looking for meaning. And right here is the integrity line. What integrity means is integration. It means the integrity, the integration, you become whole. You become integrated, whole. Whole, holy, and whole as the 0 point that turns inside out, and the microcosm becomes the macrocosm. I've talked about this before. The reason I'm telling you all this is because when you're living in the lower 3 chakras, that's where duality happens. This is where the yin and yang comes in. This is where the material world comes in. So you can't have light without shadows. And because of this scaffolding, this invisible creation pattern scaffolding, things gain complexity. And with complexity comes intelligence. So the more complex things become, the more intelligence, the more it starts to display intelligence, the more it starts to operate intelligently. And I don't know if you could say that it's necessarily sentient, but probably. A lot of this stuff comes to me through revelation. And when I say that, I don't mean like something mystical or that I'm talking to God, or a lot of it I just don't know. A lot of maybe, but a lot of it I just don't know. I'm constantly thinking about stuff, and I think that my subconscious mind is always chewing on it, whether I'm awake or asleep, and then something will just be revealed to me. That's all revelation is. And a lot of times I just don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's coming from me. I don't know if it's coming from God. But there's been times in my life where I've had things come into my mind that I know weren't mine. And they weren't evil or anything like that. But there were things that I've talked about before. Like when I knew it was time to have a child. I was told. Clear as day, I remember it, clear as day. So if you want to think I'm crazy, that's fine. Lots of people do. That doesn't bother me. But these shadows gain complexity in the duality, in the lower chakra frequencies. And this is, if you watch my stuff, this is where the destroyers come from, in my opinion, in what I have figured out. If I'm full of shit and somebody knows more than I do, please, I'm more than willing to be wrong. Always feel free to share anything that you feel adds to anything I'm saying, or corrects something I'm saying wrong. But from what I've seen, from what I've studied, from what has been revealed to me, these shadows are destroyers. They live beyond. I talk about how the five senses create a mirror bubble around us, a holographic bubble around us, like we're in a video game. So wherever we pan to renders instantly. And the world is your mirror. The world is your mirror. So this is one of the most deceptive things that people can't understand. The world is your mirror. It's not really out here. Everything out here is in superposition. It's an unrendered computer program made of pure potentiality, where every possibility exists in superposition. And when you look at it, what you are gets projected onto it and renders the video game as you pan back and forth. So when you try to change the world, like so many people do, they want to change the world. They want to find themselves, so they start traveling and climbing mountains and jumping out of airplanes. But wherever you go, there you are. So many go, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. And what they're actually doing is they're trying to find themselves by running away. The great irony. They're actually running away from themselves. They're out to change the world. They're out to conquer the world and climb Mount Everest. Top of the world, Mom. And they can't face themselves in the mirror. Because if you want to conquer the world, you have to know thyself. You have to go inward, because the world is your mirror. So if you look in the mirror and you got a frown on your face and you see your reflection has a frown, you can't go over there and make your reflection smile. You have to smile. If you want to change the world, you have to change yourself. But these shadows live beyond. These intelligent shadows, these destroyers, live beyond the mirror, behind the looking glass. And they're always trying to pull you through, because you are a creator. You were given divine authority to create the world. This is why they hate us, because we were chosen to co-create the world with God. And because these shadows became more complex and capable of understanding that they're like a byproduct. They're a byproduct. And they resent that, and they don't have any ability to create anything. They only can destroy. And many of them, I've made videos on this too, they believe that the lower ones believe that they can destroy something beautiful. If you remember Fight Club, when he beat the shit out of Angel and he said, I felt like destroying something beautiful. That's what he was embodying, the destroyer. Because the destroyer feels, the lower level destroyer feels that they can gain value by destroying a creator. And they feel like it's a counterbalance, but it's not. Because light is light. And darkness is not the opposite of light. It's the absence of light. So without light, you're nothing. The elites in the cult, the parasitic elite, understand this concept. And it's my theory that they want to self-nullify because they're tired of living forever. These high-level ones are immortal. But I digress. So they're trying to pull us through the looking glass. They're trying to bait us with all this temptation and the promise of an eternal life. And the way they do this is through well, it involves little people. It involves getting them across borders. It involves very evil things. And it involves extracting something called the golden juice. And it's recently, I think it was Taryn Manning on the Whitney Cummings podcast that brought it up and created a big stir, and everybody was like, what is that? What is that? What are they talking about? What is it? What's the golden juice? So the destroyers have figured out how to create by proxy, by seducing creators that don't, we have amnesia when we're born. We don't remember that we are immortal, and we don't remember we are a leaf on the tree. So we get seduced, we get pulled through the looking glass by the promise of eternal life as a mortal. They do this resurrection ritual, the Osiris, right? You see this? That's the Osiris resurrection ritual. And this is part of what the pyramids were doing. They were imitating part of the phyllotaxis. The phyllotaxis is like the different branchings of the fractal. And pyramids are an imitation of the universe, a microcosmic version of the universe, and a macrocosmic version of your brain. And they would reincarnate. They would not only open the heart chakra and give you universal consciousness if you were a pharaoh, but they would also reincarnate you. And this reincarnation ritual that it involves Ra, Isis, and Osiris, Ra being reborn, Osiris reborn as the sun. They know all this stuff. They know the science, the esoteric science of how to do this. So they offer this to certain people that can be highly influential in luring other creators to destroy the world so that they can finally self-nullify and end the hell on earth, right? Of living forever with no purpose. So they get pulled. So these people, these creators that are afraid of death because they don't know any better, get pulled through the mirror. And I see it all the time. You see it now. Everyone's saying, oh, the goat, the goat, the goat. That guy's the goat, right? Oh, it's just an acronym, Vlad. You need to relax. Greatest of all time. That's all it means. Well, now they're wearing necklaces. Now they get to wear the necklaces and call this conspiracy theories. Baphomet necklaces. And you're seeing it pop up everywhere. Oh, this is just my friend gave me this. Jewel-studded goat. Goat's head, right? Baphomet head. So it's normalization, normalization, normalization. The millimeter by millimeter of changing the way people talk and what people accept, and normalizing more and more evil. Baphomet, of course, being connected to the trans movement, etc., that I've talked about before. So what is the golden juice? That they seduce people with eternal life in the dualistic material world that can't ever transcend past the integrity line. The gold juice is related, it's even talked about in the Bible, the land of milk and honey. The land of milk and honey is a metaphor for different levels of the phyllotaxis, different branches of the fractal. There's a land of milk and honey in the Milky Way. There's a land of milk and honey on Earth. And there's a land of milk and honey in the mind. The land of milk and honey is the pituitary gland and the pineal gland. The pituitary gland excretes a white substance, and the pineal gland excretes a golden substance. And that golden substance is DMT, dimethyltryptamine, the most powerful hallucinogen known to man. Highly illegal, very coveted, but it's in everything. You can get DMT out of grass if you know how to prepare it. Mixed with endorphins, adrenaline, cortisol, it's a certain kind of cocktail. What they're doing is they are extracting it from people, from little people, doing hellish things, and it's released to open the stargate in your pineal gland when you transition over to the next world. The seat of the soul is what the pineal gland is called. This is what gets released when you pass away in this world. So right before the little one goes, they withdraw, they steal that golden juice, that cocktail, and then they give it to somebody that doesn't deserve it, somebody that stole and will continue to steal in many, many different ways, and create and create destruction, because now they've gone to the other side. There's a great video I wanted to recommend by John St. Julian that I'll probably put in the description or the comments, depending on what platform you're watching this on, that talks about the chrism. So Christ's journey happens in our body. Our spine has 33 vertebrae, and it represents Jacob's ladder, the evolution between the three Jacobs that I'll talk in another video about. And depending on the moon cycles, that's why we're following the sun, because the moon cycles are what's important. And depending on the moon cycles, if you can do certain things, certain ways of fasting, you can have the chrism, the Christ, rise in you and open up your third eye and your crown chakra without devices like pyramids, because we've all got this. We're all born with it. We can all do it. And to create a new earth. But what they're doing is they're stealing it. That's the golden juice. Hope that's helped. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. If you have any video ideas you guys want to throw at me, let me know. I'll talk about it. God bless.